Hey Finxters, welcome back to another lecture on web scraping. We will learn how to web scrape a particular website that does not have a next button, yet it has pagination implemented within it. Now I'm not talking about infinite scroll or usage of the more button for pagination. Rather, this is a kind of website which will have numbered links such that when you click on a particular number, that will take you to a particular page. Let's have a look at an example and things will be crystal clear. So if you have a look at this website, when we scroll down, these are the numbered links. Now, as soon as I click on a particular link, it will take me to that page. Now, as you can see that as soon as I moved on to this page, then the number 3 got highlighted. And also, if you have a look at this URL, it also changed. So initially, this was our base URL. And as we clicked on a particular link, let's say now let's click on the number 4, it will take us to this URL. So as you can see that this is changing accordingly. So if we change it to 2, that will take us to page 2. Yeah, it has taken us to page 2. So this is how you can play around with the URL to move on or navigate to a particular page. But how do we do it programmatically? So let us first move on to the first page. So this is our base URL. And now let's go ahead and inspect this page. So let us go ahead and right click here and inspect the page. Now when we inspect these numbered links, you'll find that they are present within the span element which has the class pgr underscore nrs. And how many pages do we have? So this is the first page, this is the second page, this is the third page, and this is the fourth page. So overall, we have 4 pages or 4 links that we can navigate to. So in order to move on to the next page, we simply have to grab the text from the A element or the A tag and append it to our base URL. So that will take us to the next page. But how do we know how long do we have to scrape or how many pages are there that need to be scraped? So if you have a close look, then you will find that this span, which belongs to the class pgrs underscore nrs, has a total of 3 A tags enclosed within it. Barring the 3 A tags, we also have another span tag which denotes the particular or the current page. So we can simply say that this span element, which has the class pgr underscore nrs, has a total of 4 elements present within it. Hence, if we simply find the length of this element span, then we will understand, or then we can easily get to know the total number of elements enclosed within it. And we can use that to our advantage and specify it in the condition wherein we can iterate 4 times. Now, if there were a total of 5 pages, then that would also have meant that this span tag would have a total of 4 elements enclosed within it. Hence, the length in that case would have been 5. So we would have iterated a total of 5 times. Well, that's a lot to grasp. So let's go ahead and find out in our code. Well, I always prefer scraping in a step by step process. So that is what we will be doing in this case as well. And I have listed all the steps in the form of comments to make things easier for you. So let us first go ahead and let us import the necessary libraries. The first library that we will be importing is the requests library. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. Now let's import the beautiful soup library. So from bs4 import beautiful soup. Okay. Then we need the help of another library, that is urllib, and we will import the URL join method from the url.parse module. It will help us to join 2 parts of a URL. So if you remember, if this was our base URL and if we went on and added or appended /2 here, that would take us to the next page. So this is what we will be doing with the help of the URL join method. We will join the base URL and then the link that will help us to navigate to the next page. Okay, so let's go ahead and import URL join, and we are going to import it from urllib.parse. Well, that's it. We have now successfully imported all the necessary libraries. it is now time to go ahead and declare the user agent. So let's store the user agent within the variable headers. Now let us go ahead and extract the base URL. So let's store the base URL in a variable known as URL. And this right here is the base URL. So let's go ahead and copy that. Now let's paste it here. Okay, we have now successfully defined the base URL. It is now time to send the GET request and receive the response. So let's create a variable named response. And within it, let's pass requests.get, then the URL. And then let's also pass our user agent within the headers argument. So headers equals headers. Okay. Before we do anything else, let us go ahead and let's check if we are getting a proper response from the server. So to do that, we are going to use the status code. And if the status code returned is 200, then that means, yes, we are indeed getting a proper response. Let's check that. And there we go. Status code is 200, and that means we are getting a proper response. So we can proceed further. Now let's go ahead and let's create the beautiful soup object. So let's name the object as soup equals. Now let's create the object beautiful soup. Let's pass response.content. That is, we are passing the content received in the response within our beautiful soup object, comma, and then let's also define html.parser object. Okay, now this is where the fun begins. We will now implement a logic such that we will scrape the image URL from every page. So to make things clear, let me right click here and let's inspect. And if you have a look here, you'll find that every image has a source attached to it. So this is the value or the link that we are going to copy. Now, if I click on this, it will take me to a new tab and open up that particular image. Now, please note that this right here is the relative path. That is, source has the relative path, whereas this right here is the absolute path. Now, when you go ahead and join this section with this section, it yields us the absolute path. But that is not the focus here. We can easily do that. In this case, we will simply extract the relative path. If you are unable to join the two, which I am pretty sure that you will be able to do, yet if you face any problems, please mention them in the comments and I'll definitely help you about how to join this section along with this section to create the actual absolute path to the image. For now, let us go ahead and let's extract the source of the image. So let's begin implementing the logic. So let's extract the image source in this variable image underscore src. And if you have a look at this page, then you'll find that this page has numerous images. For example, this banner right here also has an image. This picture right here is also an image. So let us first go ahead and extract the images in a list comprehension, and then we will filter out the image that we want. So let's create a list comprehension, and then we want to extract the image source. So this is how we specify that we want to extract the image source. Now, what is img? So for that, let's define the condition for img or image in. Now we have to grab or select the element from which we want to extract the image. So we can do that with the help of our soup object and then the select method, which will help us to grab the span tag or the area from which we want to extract the image. For that, let's move on to our website once again. Now let's have a look. In this case, we have a div tag. Now, if we once again have a close look, then this div tag right here, this one, which has the class text double underscore rich area, is the element which encloses this image. Now I am not grabbing the image with the help of its ID because there will be numerous images and they will have numerous IDs. But this image, this one right here, comes under this div tag, which has the class text underscore rich area. So what we can do is go back to our coding screen and then tell Python that select the element which has the class text underscore rich area. And from this, we want to extract the image. So that's it. What this will help us to do is that it will help us to extract the image. And then once we have extracted the image from this expression, we go ahead and extract its source and then store it in this variable image underscore source. Now let's print this once and let's check if this is working or not. Image underscore source is the variable that stores our image source. Okay, let's execute this. As you can see that we have successfully extracted the source of our required image file, but we have also extracted numerous other image files that are present on that page. But if you have a close look, then you'll find that JPG is the format of image file that we need, whereas the other image files have the format .gif. So we can simply eliminate them. As of now, to extract this image, we can simply grab the first element of this list. So to do that, we can simply print first element with the help of its index from our image underscore source variable. So this line here means that I am grabbing this first element and then I'm printing it. So let's once again go ahead and execute this to find out. And there we go. We have successfully extracted the source of the image that we want. Now the question here is, this is the image from the first page only. So this is our first page, but we want to extract the images from every page. And in order to do that, we need to navigate to every page. And how do we do that? So to visualize that, let's click on this numbered link and let's inspect it. And now, as we saw previously, that these numbered links are present within the parent span tag. And this span tag belongs to this class pgr underscore nrs. So we will simply go ahead and grab this element, that is this span element that belongs to the class pgr underscore nrs. So let's go ahead and let's do that in our code. Let's create a variable named page. And now within it, let's use our beautiful soup object dot, and then let's select a span tag along with its class. And what was the class? Let's check it once again. It was pgr underscore nrs. Okay. We have now successfully extracted the span tag. But now we want to drill down further. We do not need the entire span tag. Rather, we need the help of the A tags that are contained within the span tag. That means this span tag has 1, 2, and 3 A tags. And to navigate from page 1 to page 2, we have to grab the first A tag and then use its text and append it to our base URL. Okay, so let's do that in our code. So space A. Hence, this line will help us to grab the A tags from our span tag that belongs to this class pgr underscore nrs. And to move on to the next page, we need to grab the first span tag. So if we go ahead and grab the A tags from within this span tag, then this is the first A tag that will be stored within that variable. So let's visualize this to understand this better. Before we go ahead and select the first element, let us visualize all the elements that are present. So let's print page. Let me comment this out for the time being. Okay. Now let's execute this. Okay. So as you can see that we have extracted all the A tags that are present within the span tag. But we need the text from the first span tag only in order to navigate to the next page. So in order to do that, we are going to grab the first element with the help of its index, which is 0. Now if we print page, we will find that only the first span tag has been extracted. Now I'll go ahead and create a flag variable 0, and you'll find out very soon why I created this variable. For the time being, please note that we have created a flag variable. It is now time to determine how long do we need to iterate. And we already discussed this. We need to iterate as long as we have the span tag elements present within it. That means we can iterate through the length of this span tag. So if this span tag has a length of 4, that means it will include 3 A tags and 1 span tag. So let's visualize that. See, we have 1 span tag and 3 A tags. But we don't have to deal with the span tag anymore because we are already printing the image source from the current page. So what we have to do is we have to find the length or the number of A tags present within this span tag. So it is going to be 1, 2, and 3. So we will iterate over a length of 3. And what is 3? If you have a close look, in this page element from which we extracted the first element had a length of 3. So let me show that to you once again. Let me delete this part, this comment, and the first element. Now let's execute our code. So as you can see, it has 1, 2, and 3 elements. So this means we have to iterate across the length of our page list. So let's do that. For I in range, and then let's iterate over the range of the page element. So what is the page element storing? It is storing all the A tags contained within the span tag. Now we need to grab the text using which we can move on or navigate to the next page. So let's create a variable named next underscore page. And within this, we are going to pass the text that will help us to move on to the next page, that is page 2 in the first iteration. So what is page 2? As I showed you previously, it is nothing but the first element stored within this page list. So page, and then we have to grab the first element, so 0. And we don't have to grab the entire tag. Rather, we have to grab only the text within that tag. So dot text. So this helps us to grab the text which we can append to our base URL, and that will help us to take us to the next page. But now we cannot use 0. We have to increment this value. That is, first we have to select the first element, then we have to select the second element, and then finally the third element. So in order to take care of this, we used the flag variable. Wait a minute, flag should be outside the loop. Okay. This flag variable will help us to keep a track of each index within the page list, and that will help us to iterate through each element one by one. So flag should be passed as an index. Okay. We now need to go ahead and increment the value of flag. So flag plus equals 1. So this essentially means that we are incrementing the value of flag, which can be used further in the next iteration. Well, let's now define the URL that we are now going to navigate to in the next iteration. And to do that, we are going to use the URL join method and join the base URL along with the text that has been stored within next underscore page. So this essentially means that in the first iteration, URL will look something like this. This is the base URL, and then we are going to join to, which is the text that is contained within next underscore page in the first iteration. Well, since we are sending a fresh request, so let's go ahead and define that once again. Now we also need to create the beautiful soup object once again. So let's create the beautiful soup object as well. Okay, we have created it successfully now. So this means in each iteration, we are dealing with the next page. Now in every page, we want to extract the image source. So we are going to follow the same procedure as we did for our first page. So let's copy this line of code and let's paste it here. So this will extract the image source from every page in each iteration. Well, we have successfully extracted the image source. That is what we might be thinking as of now. But no, if you remember, then we extracted the first element in the case of our first page. But that page or the first page had only one image that we want to extract. So this was the page and it only had one image. But now let's move on to page 2. It has one image, second image. So it has couple of images present within it. So what we can do now is that we can tell Python that grab only those images which are ending with .jpg extension. So let's visualize what I'm trying to say here. Let's print image underscore source once again. Now let's execute this piece of code. There we go. The first image was properly extracted. And now we have a list which stores images that we need as well as images that we don't need. So these are the images that we need, .jpg. But this is not the image that we need. These are logos and other images that are present on the page. So we need to eliminate them. And how do we do that? To do that, we need to specify a condition. We will simply go ahead and iterate across all the images in img underscore source, grab that image, and then we will check if I dot ends with, that is, if the source of that image is ending with .jpg. Only and only in that case, we will go ahead and print image underscore source. That is, we are printing that image source which ends with .jpg. Rather, we have to print I because we want to print the image source, not the entire list itself. So let's print I. Okay, that's it. Now let's go ahead and execute this piece of code. And there we go. Images from the first and second pages. Now the third and fourth pages have been successfully printed on the output screen. Well, these are all relative links. And as I mentioned previously, that you can simply go ahead and join the relative link with the base URL in order to extract the absolute path. So let me do that here as well so that you can visualize it. For now, if I go ahead and paste this on my browser, it will not open up anything. Let's see that. See, it doesn't work. So let us go ahead and let us grab a particular image. Let's say this image, let's inspect it. Let's grab this image, let's move on to its source, and let's open up the absolute path. So this is the absolute path, and if you see, this section right here is the source. Whereas we have to append this section to the beginning of the source that we extracted. And then when we print it, we can successfully navigate to each image. So let's go ahead and let's do that. So if this was the image source, then all we have to do is to go ahead and join or club this URL to our source. And that will help us to extract the absolute path. So this was for the 3 pages, and the first page also needs similar thing to be done to it. So this was the line where we were printing the source of the image. So let us go ahead and club this section with our image source. Okay. Now let's execute this piece of code once again. And there we go. We are now getting the absolute path to each image. Let's click on them one by one and let's find out if they worked or not. So this is the first image. Okay. Then this is the second image. Okay. This is the third image. Okay. This is the fourth image. Okay. This one is the fifth image. Yeah, it worked as well. And finally, the sixth image. Yeah, so we have successfully extracted all the images from the respective pages one by one. So this is how you can navigate to each page with the help of the numbered links and then scrape the required data that you want from the given page.